Every year, a new team, offense in particular, in the National Football League breaks out. A lot of times, it is due to either a new quarterback or better quarterback play from the guy they drafted to be their franchise guy. The Rams are a big example of this when Jared Goff broke out for them with the hiring of Sean McVay, as well as Dak Prescott when he began to lead the Cowboys to the playoffs right from his rookie year. Those two offenses were great for years to come, maybe not the Rams anymore, but for a couple years they were amazing. But I don't want to talk about those two quarterbacks and teams. I want to talk about two other offensive groups I could see breaking out next year. Now, let's get right into those offenses. First of these two offenses is the Arizona Cardinals. Last season they were the 24th passing offense, but 10th rushing offense, and the 16th best scoring offense, which is average. Good rushing team, but besides that, average at best in the other areas. However, they had a huge bright spot in the offense with Offensive Rookie of the Year winner Kyler Murray, who I don't think should have won it. It should have went to Josh Jacobs. To say he's not the biggest breakout candidate in 2020 is blasphemy. Adding DeAndre Hopkins, having Kenyon Drake as the lead back, and Christian Kirk developing as a potential number 2 receiver. Yes, I had Larry Fitzgerald. He's just getting too old, but still producing as a role player wide receiver. I think Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins will be a top 5 quarterback wide receiver duo in the league. Not just due to Hopkins being the second best receiver in the league, but I think Kyler Murray will be a top 10 quarterback this season. Kyler Murray showed a lot of flashes last season en route to winning Offensive Rookie of the Year. He's a mobile quarterback with a great arm, has a chip on his shoulder from people saying he won't succeed due to his size, and the belief that he potentially should have played baseball instead. Although that was not a lot of people, they were clearly wrong. I could see him being a top 8 quarterback in the near future, not next season potentially, maybe top 10, but definitely during his rookie contract. He is way too skilled, and with not a lot of weapons to throw to, he still produced last season, as well as having one of the worst offensive lines in the league. That is still the issue though. Their offensive line is still atrocious and saw little to no upgrades this offseason. That could be the only thing holding them back from their full potential. But I think Cliff Kingsbury can coach around the battle line. By that I mean having an offense with a lot of quick plays like RPOs to Kirk or Hopkins and short intermediate routes, as well as having Kenyon Drake do his thing out of the backfield. I also see Kenyon Drake as a breakout candidate. Last year in only 8 games with the Cardinals, Kenyon Drake had 123 carries for 643 yards and 8 touchdowns. All 8 of his 2019-2020 touchdowns were with the Cardinals. The Dolphins missed out big with Drake as he was never used right, meaning being the premier back in an offense. Also in the backfield they have Chase Edmonds, who played amazing late in the season when Drake was unable to play, and when David Johnson just did not play anymore for Cliff Kingsbury. Having 2 good running backs out of backfield is always great for a team. Now, I think DeAndre Hopkins and Christian Kirk are great for each other, as well as having Larry Fitzgerald to mentor both of them. Obviously, Hopkins may not need it, but Kirk is a young wide receiver who could use help. He's a great receiver, but hey, anyone can use help in the NFL. Hopkins will still learn stuff from Larry Fitzgerald, but those 2 wide receivers I think will be a top 6-7 wide receiver duo, as well as a trio with Kenyon Drake, DeAndre Hopkins, and Kyler Murray in the Cardinals. I think that'll be a great trio for years to come. Now, one negative about this offense, besides the offensive line's lack of tight ends. Their starters, Max Williams, they also have Dan Arnold, Darryl Daniels, and Ryan Becker. Max Williams is nothing special. He was a 2015 second-round pick, and throughout his entire career, he's only had 699 yards receiving and 4 touchdowns in 5 seasons. I don't think he'll be any help on this offense. I don't think he'll do better than what he's done in his whole career. I think that's just a huge weak spot, but I think they have enough receiving threats around that with Hopkins, Fitz, Kirk, Kenyon Drake, and Chase Edmonds, the 2 people out of the backfield, that it'll make up for him not being able to do much for the Cardinals. As a whole, this Cardinals offense has way too many weapons for them not to be a breakout candidate next year. Or not even candidate, they will break out. And I don't think anybody can say that they will not be at least above average next year on the offensive side of the ball, unless they believe that no team can succeed with that bad of an offensive line. But personally, I disagree with that. The second offense I see breaking out may be seen as a huge surprise. The New York Giants. They have a very underrated team as a whole, especially their offensive playmakers. Danny Dimes is one of my favorite young quarterbacks. A Duke gunslinger who's not afraid to make any play with his arms or legs. Yes, I know he's not that mobile, but he can still make plays with his legs. Coming from a big school with almost no football talent coming out of there, it's fun to see him do good, kind of, last year. What I mean by kind of is that Danny Dimes has some turnover issues. He had 12 interceptions and 11 fumbles lost. 11. That's horrible. I will admit, that's horrible. No QB should be fumbling 18 times in a season. Losing 11 of them in only 13 games played. But he's young, and we'll get that figured out as soon as next season possibly. He's a promising quarterback talent, and will be the Giants' franchise guy for years to come after being a controversial draft pick at 6th overall in the 2019 draft. Eli Manning will be proud that Daniel Jones is coming after him. Outside of dimes, they have some good weapons. If I had to argue that the Giants will be a good offense, I just have to say one name. We all know what it is. Saquon Barkley. In my opinion, he's the second best running back in the league. Potentially the best, but McCaffrey's too good of a receiver to not be the best. Barkley is clearly the best runner, with Derrick Henry not far behind. But that's when he's healthy. Last season, he missed some games and played good, but not up to Saquon level when he came back, but somehow still ended up with 1,000 yards and 438 receiving, which nobody expected after the injury he sustained. He was supposed to be out 4 to 8 weeks, he was back in 3. This season, he's going to be fully healthy with no limitations, and with an improved offensive line, kinda, except because Nate Solder's opting out, which could prove to be bad, but thankfully the Giants drafted a tackle at 4th overall in this year's draft, so I do think they'll be fine for the offensive line. They have Andrew Thomas at left tackle, Will Hernandez at left guard, Spencer Pulley at center, Kevin Zeitler at right guard, and Matt Peart at right tackle. The only huge hole in that O-line is right tackle Matt Peart. Spencer Pulley's not great, but he will most likely be fine. Will Hernandez has been kind of not as good as he was drafted to be. Like, everyone thought he was going to be better, but he's still a starter in this league and should be. Saquon will have an average O-line to run behind. PFF ranked him the 20th best, but I can see him being a little bit above that, around 18th to 16th. But it's Saquon Barkley. No matter how great the offensive line is, he'll just do good. Like, that's just how Saquon is. But having a good offensive line will help any running back. Just ask Ezekiel Elliott. Yes, that was a minor chirp towards Zeke. He wouldn't be as good if he didn't have that offensive line. We'll see next year with Travis Frederick gone. He's still good, but you can't give him all the credit. Okay, now that that's out of the way, now on to the receiving threats. I'm a fan of this receiver and tight end group. Their starting wide receivers are Sterling Shepard, Golden Tate, and Darius Slayton, with Evan Engram at tight end. I love Darius Slayton. I think he has a large chance of breaking out this upcoming season. He's a very explosive wideout, can stretch the field for the Giants, as well as doing everything else you need from receiver, for the most part. Daniel Jones and him have good chemistry, as last season they had to work with each other a lot as Shepard missed 6 games and Tate missed 6 games, 4 from suspension. I think those two will be dangerous for the foreseeable future. Besides the explosive plays from Darius Slayton, Tate and Shepard are both very reliable targets for a quarterback. For Shepard, it is when he is fully healthy, and Tate is just a deadly run-after-catch receiver for, no reason. He's not the fastest, but is very good at evading people in space and getting by the defense. Tate is also a good route runner with very reliable hands and will be Jones' #1 receiver. But I think Slayton will finish with more yards, but definitely on less targets than Golden Tate, just because he's that good. And Sterling Shepard, he's reliable. He'll probably have the 2nd or 3rd most targets at the wide receiver position, but I don't see him doing amazing. I think he's better than what his stats say because he's been behind Odell and then he's been injured and been behind Golden Tate. So I think next season he'll finally prove that he's a good wide receiver because he'll finally have good stats, but stats aren't everything. Also, Evan Engram is one of the most talented tight ends in the league, but has not put up the best production throughout his career. As through his first 3 years, his most receiving yards is 722, which was his rookie year when he played 15 games, while the other 2 years he played 11 games and 8 games. So when healthy, Evan Engram's a dangerous target for his quarterback. He's tall and fast. That's the best thing you can have for a tight end. You got Delaney Walker, who's short and not fast, but he's still good. But having someone like Evan Engram, that's just scary. And it's even scarier because they have a young quarterback. And historically, young quarterbacks are known to throw their tight ends often. If Engram's fully healthy, which is a big if, he will break out this season. He'll finally have over 1,000 yards, I think. Last season, only 8 games, 6 of which he started. He had 68 targets, which is 8.5 a game. That is on pace for 136. That would have been insane for Engram, and this offense would have been much better with him on the field for all 16. Obviously. That's just a stupidly obvious statement, but hey, why not say it? Engram healthy is a top 6 tight end in the league, only behind the elite talent at tight end, being the top 3. And you can argue that he could be better than the 4 and 5, which in my opinion is Darren Waller, Mark Andrews. You could potentially throw someone else in there, but I think those are the 4 and 5. So Danny Dimes having him there for all of next season potentially will turn this offense, especially the passing offense, to one of the best next season. However, I do not see the Giants winning many games next year due to the 2 teams at the top of the division being the Eagles and Cowboys being a lot better, and the defense being the way it is, meaning really bad. New York has a lot of hope for next season. Well, at least for one of its football teams. Sorry, Jets fans. As the Giants will be a lot of fun to watch, as they'll tear up defenses with their young franchise quarterback, Saquon just being himself, and a talented receiving group. Danny Dimes will wake up feeling dangerous every day just like Baker Mayfield, except actually be dangerous. Sorry, Baker, I like you as a quarterback, but you gotta play better before you can say you feel dangerous. And with all that being said, that is it for me, guys. Thank you for tuning into Fanatic Sports. Hope you all liked the video. If you did, please subscribe and hit the like button. It only takes like 2 seconds. That's not long. Also, follow me on Instagram at FanaticSports25 and on Twitter at FanaticSports. Now, before I end this video, what offense do you think will break out?